Yeah, I would have never considered myself an academic. You know, I was a young kid in Canada, played every sport I could, and honestly, the only reason I did well in school was because I couldn't go to hockey practice and, and train with my team if I didn't, and then I wouldn't be able to go to the NHL. So, as a 9 and 10-year-old, I just did it because, it allowed my parents, let me go to practice and kind of all through high school and even university. And, yeah, that was kind of, like every stereotypical Canadian kid growing up, but, playing competitive sports and stuff, that's kind of the way I thought I would go until, yeah, kind of until much later in life. I would have never considered myself an academic by any means. So
What would you say your biggest challenges were in your academic life, in your high school and college? What were some of the biggest obstacles you dealt with?
yeah, I dealt with different ones through kind of all stages. I think I went into university and I, played on the football team there and, played the liberal word because, I didn't play too much. I was fighting this engineering where, where my profs are like, you have to be in these labs, and my coach is like, you got to be watching enough film beforehand. And, I only played high school football. So, the last year I kind of stopped and focused on school just because, my parents kind of gave me this advice all growing up, which I hated at the time and makes sense now. But like, you're doing all this to be a good beer league hockey player one day, right? Realistically, like most people don't make it to the NHL. Right. So I kind of focused on that a little bit. And as I mentioned, I went into engineering because I just had a lot more trouble in English in high school. That would have been kind of my bigger struggle there. And I went in engineering because, I wanted to do more, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And, my dad just kind of told me, he's like, look, you can go into engineering and then go back into business, but it's a lot harder to do it the other way. So, if you're going to do something, go into engineering and, you can kind of, see where you go from there. So
Real quick, your dad was an engineer. Was there a kinship there? You felt like, dad was, I'm doing it too. It's kind of a connection.
No, it was really more of a competition. My dad was an electrical engineer and I was a mechanical engineer. And we kind of spent, I convinced my one brother to be a mechanical engineer because that's way better than electrical engineers, obviously. So there was definitely a kinship for sure, but it was very much, a fun kind of competitive environment we grew up in.
That's right. You said your family's competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, my dad, was the humble one who kind of never bragged, but I mean, he had a PhD in electrical engineering. So it was kind of like, I couldn't really keep up in the engineering front too much.
What'd you get into after college? What was some of your first successes?
Yeah, I did what everyone does, right? I finished school, what you're supposed to do. I got this engineering job, which is a great engineering job, and I loved large parts of it. And then I during this energy drink phase of, 2007-ish, a buddy of mine had this idea, and, we didn't drink coffee, and, you drink energy drinks, and it's a pain to carry them around. So we thought, why don't we make a chewing gum that just tastes like spearmint chewing gum, but out of energy drink ingredients. And, we went and got it tested out and did it in pharmaceutical pill cold presses, and it kind of started to take off, so much so that I had to go back to my parents and give them the conversation, as a kid in his mid-20s who, graduated, has this great engineering job, and I'm like, so I'm going to go, I think I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to need to move in back home because I'm going to be super broke, and I'd like to try this, gum thing. And, they asked.
It's a great concept. It's like the Red Bull of chewing gum.
Yeah. I think right out of the gates, we actually got a cease and desist letter from Red Bull, which I took as a win. But it was literally called like Launch Energy Drink Gum. And then we it took off great. We got in the Walgreens and the 7-Eleven.
Real quick for people that are listening, because I'm dying to know, isn't that like a weak attempt? Because there's no monopoly on an energy related product, and you don't use the moniker of anything. But the energy gum, they didn't have that leg to stand on, but they sent the letter over anyways.
Yeah, and it's business. I mean, I guess for me, if I put myself in Red Bull shoes, and maybe I would have done the same thing. They go after anyone who tries to monopolize anything energy drink, right? Because they tried to obviously, trademark energy drink and didn't get the no-go. So I'm sitting here trying to do energy drink gum. They just kind of go after everything.
Did you have to do anything? Did you have to get a lawyer, or is it just kind of like you just ignored it and you kept on going?